Hi everyone! Today I'll be giving my opinion on The High King's Golden Tongue by Megan Derr. There will be spoilers, but since this book is like 7 years old, then I don't think that'll be too much of a problem. I chose The High King's Golden Tongue as my first book review because I'm a big sucker for foreign languages, so having the main protagonist being a multilingual prodigy is definitely up my alley. So, this story is told from a dual point of view between our main characters with alternating chapters. One is from the perspective of Prince Alan Telmus. He's 20 years old and has been trained since birth to become the High Consort for the High King of the Harkonnen Empire. He's learned diplomacy skills for dealing with any type of political situation and can also speak 14 languages. So, pretty much a politician, but actually cool and interesting. We also get the High King's point of view, Sarika. At 37 years old, we get told very early that he used to be married. He had a previous High Consort named Niall Arseni, who is also a man of warfare, like Sarika, but he died on the battlefield 4 years before this book takes place. So we have the main plot, where Sarika is still grieving over the loss of his previous husband, when his replacement husband is suddenly foisted upon him, which that serves as our main conflict. The majority of the story takes place inside Harkonnen Palace, with some scenes taking place outside. Also, there's a political subplot that revolving around political shenanigans and subterfuge that risk the Harkonnen Empire being at turmoil with its vassal states. On to my opinions of the book. I'm really impressed with how Megan set up the world of the Harkonnen Empire. We have different characters who hail from different vassal states, which, due to their language barriers, serve up as obstacles in the plot. In the world, people who are employed as interpreters and can speak multiple languages are called silver tongues. It's important to point out that in the grand scheme of things, this is really a smaller contained story despite the large world that Megan has built. There are 12 vassal states, but only really 4 are mostly relevant for the plot. We have Gordon, home of Prince Alan. We also have Harkin, home of High King Sarika, as well as the vassal states that are relevant to the political subterfuge subplot, which will be Benta and Karfa. This is really just a first of a series for this book, so hopefully in future installments, Megan will explore and develop the world further. In addition, the romance is a slow burn, as Alan and Sarika meet with an unfriendly first impression, and the story takes its time for the couple to start liking each other. Instant love is more my preference, so this really isn't my cup of tea per se, but the political subplot as well as the world building was enough to keep me interested throughout the book. In a way, it makes sense. Sarika does need the time in order to move past his past lover. But saying that, it's funny seeing that as soon as Sarika changes his opinion about Prince Alan, his attitude towards him does a complete 180. We get pining, lustful fantasies, and a protective instinct. So, in a way, I really think that the dual point of view really saved my opinion of Sarika's character. If I didn't read his thoughts on the justification of why he initially disliked Prince Alan, I would just follow him as a stuck-up jerk, and that making the future romance irrational. At the same time, though, a weakness of the dual point of view is in how the plot really revolves around more with Alan than it does with Sarika. I feel like the plot is a bit contrived in the sense that Alan just conveniently stumbles into situations where he can just easily resolve using his skills as a silver-tongued prodigy. For example, near the beginning of the book, he conveniently overhears an argument between castle servants and their overseer, which he then resolves using his language skills, and then serves as a reason for him to interact further with other members of the castle staff. As another example, when he's walking outside the palace, he conveniently stumbles into a public incident occurring, which he then again resolves using his language skills, and then that serves to further advance the main plot. On the other hand, Sarika has a really passive role in the plot, even though half the book is told from his perspective and is otherwise treated as a main character. We get told how Alan and Sarika need each other's skill sets, where Alan's skills in diplomacy and foreign languages are meant to complement Sarika's skills in martial warfare. However, Sarika really doesn't get any opportunity to show this off. Spoiler warning here, when Alan gets himself kidnapped and Sarika personally leads an expedition to rescue him, we don't get to see any description of the siege of the castle or the battle. It literally just skips from Sarika leaving on the expedition to Alan then being rescued. Another instance of this is when Sarika goes out to war, we only ever get to see the aftermath of the battle. And even then both his fellow soldiers and even his war opponent can't stop talking about and praising Alan all the time. Overall, despite the book being told from a dual point of view, this is very much Alan's story, and while the romance sometimes take a back seat to further the political subplot, the latter always leads back to the former, which I think is a good thing. I would recommend The High King's Golden Tongue to anyone who wants to read a book whilst immersed in a medieval world with complex political strife, with an underlying romance plot about a multilingual diplomat main character.